next comedian, Jordan Wold.
I wrote that song. Before we get started, can I get a volunteer? Great, thank you. Stay there. Thanks. Wow, I can't believe I'm here hosting Saturday Night Live for the first time. Long overdue, but beggars can't be choosers. I met Lauren backstage. He said, "Hi, Jordan." I said, "Hi, Lauren." Then he kissed me on the cheek. That was how I met Lorne Michaels. When I'm not hosting Saturday Night Live, I work as a shoe shine, which means I'm paid $11 an hour to be irrelevant to the world around me. And it's a fun job. I basically show up and sit there and do whatever I want. It's also a good job if you enjoy networking, especially with my elderly boss, Cedric. One thing about being a shoe shine is that you have to sort of adjust to a different life schedule, because when you're a shoe shine, you need to catch the businessmen before they get into their office for the day, so you need to get up really early. So I've had to start getting up earlier. I, have my cup of coffee, read the paper, and I watch some TV through the antenna that I have. And I've started watching this really weird television channel, specifically this show that I'm sure none of you have heard of. It's like this weird throwback to old sitcoms from the 50s, stylistically shot in black and white, but it's also like another one of those comedians playing themselves shows, like it could be on FX or something. It's called I Love Lucy, and you guys have got to check this show out. It stars this woman, Lucille Ball, and her husband, who in real life is named Desi Arnaz, but in the show, he's named Ricky. So if that's confusing for anyone, Lucy is Lucy in real life and on the show. But then Desi is Desi in real life, Ricky on the show. Everyone got that? Great, okay. It's actually a really progressive show in the sense that I've never seen a sitcom in which the married couple actually has no love whatsoever for each other. Lucy's always berating Ricky, and Ricky's always yelling at or threatening Lucy, and yet, at the end of the episode, they're still stuck there. In one episode I watched recently, Lucy had recently had a baby, and she wanted a bigger home for the family, and Ricky said no, and that was the end of it, and then he left. So Lucy thought, I know what I'll do. I will put everything we own into the living room, so Ricky thinks our house is smaller. And it didn't work, surprisingly. But we got a lot of good physical comedy out of it, some pratfalls. Lucy went down a slide. So one thing I suggest, look up Lucille Ball. I bet she's got a great Twitter. I hope she gets some Golden Globe noms. Incredible stuff. I also want to pause for a moment to make sure we all acknowledge and appreciate the team at Pixar who made Cars 3 this past summer. Wow. They came off a critical and box office slump that started with Cars 2 and went all the way through The Good Dinosaur. And they told a beautiful, emotionally resonant story about Lightning McQueen and his funny friend Mater. And I've heard some members of the Pixar team are here tonight. Okay, I guess not. Which means I take back everything I said about Cars 3. I was really just angling for the role of Rob, the sarcastic taxi, in Cars 4. But if they're not here, I guess I'll go through the traditional means of auditioning. Now that we've talked about Cars 3, I think we need to move into cancer, don't you? So, my father a couple of years ago was diagnosed with a very serious and rare form of cancer that affects the larynx, which is your voice box. And they had to take out his larynx, which meant he was no longer able to speak normally they had to put in what's called an electrolarynx, which means he now speaks by holding a device up to his neck, and he speaks with a sort of robotic voice with a little hum behind it. And for a long time, I was worried that, I wouldn't be able to speak to him normally, that it'd be scary, that I wouldn't be able to, talk to my dad anymore. But then I realized that the amount of time it takes a person to have a thought and then decide they want to hold a device to their neck and actually verbalize that thought really cuts down on the amount of offensive things that people say. I love my dad, but hearing him say fewer things definitely isn't a negative thing for me. And I think in this world we live in, we're often careless. We say things that hurt other people without really thinking about it. And honestly, the cure for this, the cure for political divisiveness, is all of us getting a very serious and rare form of cancer. And that was pretty dark, so I'd like to neutralize the emotion in the room by just stating some facts about the movie Foxcatcher. So one fact about Foxcatcher, director Bennett Miller was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Director that year, but the film was not nominated for Best Picture, which is a rarity. Actor Mark Ruffalo, who was in the film, played a man who was 27 at the time of the events which the film covered, but Mark Ruffalo was well into his 40s at the time of filming. Nothing wrong with that. I thought it was a little weird, though. Foxcatcher grossed a mere $9.1 million on a budget of $25 million, making it a minor box office failure. So those were a few facts about Foxcatcher. And folks, I hate to get political, but we've got to go there. You know what I'm talking about. Of course, I'm talking about South Dakota's lone Congresswoman, Kristi Noem. Now, we've all heard about Kristi Noem this, Kristi Noem that. But of course, what I'm talking about is how Kristi Noem last year announced her bid for the governorship of South Dakota, but she only did it so she could get in under the wire before the Anti-Corruption Act kicked in. Now, we all know what the Anti-Corruption Act is. It stops dark funding from funding, campaigns. It helps campaign transparency. And of course, the voters overwhelmingly supported it. But then the Koch brothers, as we all know, declared a political state of emergency in South Dakota and got the Anti-Corruption Act removed. Those Koch brothers and Kristi Noem. But of course, I'm beating a dead horse here. I know we all think about Kristi Noem all the time. So even though I'm here hosting Saturday Night Live, sometimes I'm worried that I'll never be on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. And one of my favorite things in the world, and I assume it's the same for many of you, are lip sync battles. So since I'm not probably going to be on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, I feel I need to do a lip sync battle for you here tonight. What I don't have are the rights to the song that I want to do the lip sync battle for. But honestly, I think everyone's favorite part of a lip sync battle is the movement of those lips. So to close out my set, I'm gonna do a lip sync battle to Can't Feel My Face by The Weeknd. Thank you, I'm Jordan Wold.